we're about to begin. Please have a seat. Our program will start in a minute. So I would like to remind all the guests and audience to switch off your phone or turn your phone into the silent mode. Okay, first of all, welcome to Fakulti Ekologi. So, especially welcome to I can see that our few lecturers from other faculties. For example, we can have here the Dean of the Faculty of Education, Professor Aida. We also have some of the lecturers. Our Dean, Professor Ahmad Hariza, respected speakers, moderator, academic staff, students, and all guests from outside and inside UPM. Welcome to Faculty of Ekologi. Okay, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to inform all of you about this intellectual discourse. It's actually one of our faculty regular academic program where we can have an opportunity to gain more knowledge by listening to invited scholars, local and international, to share their thoughts and knowledge as well as their experience. Today we are so grateful to have a speaker from Bait Al-Amanah. He is the founding director of Bait Al-Amanah. Yang berbahagia Dr. Abdul Razak Ahmad. Okay. We also have two discussants to give some review or to discuss about the topic. As we can see here, the topic is about knowledge as a public good, the forgotten mission of university. We have discussion from our faculty, yang berusaha Professor Madya Dr. Nobaya Ahmad. Okay. And then the second one is actually from the Faculty of Education, yang berusaha Professor Madya Dr. Ismi Arif Ismail. Okay, our session will be moderated by Dr. Shamsul Azhari from Department of Resource Management and Consumer Studies from our faculty as well. And Dr. Shamsul will introduce our honorable speakers, discussant, and also moderate the discourse. So Dr. Shamsul, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So today we have an intellectual discourse on the topic of knowledge as the public good, the forgotten mission of university. So we have a special guest today, Dr. Abdul Razak Ahmad. And Dr. Abdul Razak Ahmad is formerly a special advisor to the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. He was also a former consultant to the National Economic Action Council and of the Prime Minister Office. He was a resource person for the EU and World Bank on higher education related issues while serving the ministry, and also Dr. Abdul Razak has extensive experience in public policy, especially in relation to the higher education, leadership, strategic planning, national and international security, and also the world of politics. Yeah? Formally, right now, Dr. Abdul Razak, as mentioned by our chairman just now, is a founding director for Bait Al-Amanah. And to save the time, I pass on to Dr. Abdul Razak to give his speak about the topic here.
Terima kasih saudara moderator, saudara penulis, profesor-profesor, ahli-ahli akademik, masa Malaysia pelajar yang saya jasa. Saya merasa sangat berbahagia sekali dapat hadir pada pagi ini. I prepared the text in Bahasa Melayu. I thought I was going to speak and deliver this in Bahasa Melayu. So we can never plan. It always turn out to be the other way around. I observed there are quite a number of international students, so I decided to speak and to deliver my lecture in English. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I chose this topic is because I want to remind each and every one of us of the sacred mission of the university. It has always been forgotten. The university is supposed to promote public good. The university is supposed to promote the well-being of the society. The university is supposed to be the champion of justice. The university is supposed to fight for the lost, the last and the least. I chose this topic because ever since I was in the ministry, there has been this tendency of importing a new culture into the university. The corporate culture, the managerialism culture. And it worries me when people are so obsessed about other things that they have forgotten about the bigger missions of the university. I was narrated by a friend a couple of weeks ago when he attended an interview with the university. The first question was not about his worldview. The first question was about how many journals he has written and what kind of journals he has published. But let's not go into that. But let's go into why did I decide to argue that the university has forgotten the bigger missions of its establishment. Number one, there has been these what I call austerity measures in higher education. There has been this decline in terms of public funding in higher education. The government is spending less in higher education. The government is expecting the university to raise their own fund. The government decided to introduce this commercialization agenda in a big way and expecting the university to start focusing on raising money, raising funds to finance it. But let me tell you this, the less government gives to the university, the less funding comes to the university, the more university is not going to be able to execute its mandate, and especially when it is a public mandate. And this is something that we need to pay serious attention. And I'm telling you that no matter how good a plan that the university put in place when it comes to generating income, you can never do it well. Because you are professors in the university. You are not supposed to be, people who commercialize things and behave like an entrepreneur and sells the university's expertise. You are not good at it. You can compete with people outside. You can compete with those people who are into it. That is the reason when I look at professors leading holdings and venturing into businesses, I feel sorry for them. That's not the thing that they should be doing. That is the thing that others should be doing. But the university's culture will never recruit people from outside because they're so concerned about the pay, the disparity in terms of person, etc. These austerity measures, ladies and gentlemen, is so very obvious. Over the last 5 years, we have seen a decline in public funding. Some universities were getting only 60% and 50% of what they requested for. This significantly has contributed to a decline in terms of public role of the university. People were struggling to find ways to fund research, to fund projects, to fund many other activities in the university. I remember I had an interaction with someone from University of Wacana, Malaysia. I said, why I have not listened to many of the people from the law school in University of Wacana engaging themselves with, people in the legal fraternity. I'm talking about a law school discussion, the discussion with the dean of the law school. And he told me that his budget for conferences is only 25,000 a year for a staff of 17. And that astonishes me. And I'm telling my friend that I feel sad that the university has gone to that level when it comes to treatment by the bureaucrats in the ministry. The second reason why I'm arguing that there is this huge neglect of the university's mission is look at the culture of the university now. The culture of the university is not anymore about collegiality. It's not anymore about, people working together, people love and show and manifest the true level of love. No, it is not. It is about fierce competition of how many journals you can produce and how many grants you can raise and how many, consultancy you can actually secure. I think that is so very worrying. This managerialism culture and KPIs. You can't measure a book with a journal. You can't measure the work of a poet with the work of bioengineering scientists. You can't. There are different ways of looking at things. You can't measure the work of a religious scholar and compare it with a mathematician. You can't. It is very subjective. It is just like comparing an apple and an orange. It is totally two different sets of disciplines, two different sets of area, and I think this is very dangerous. Everything needs to be quantified. I had a wonderful working relationship with the late Professor Radin. When I was in the ministry, Professor Radin was the Director General in the ministry. He's an extremely bright gentleman. He's so intellectually very powerful. But Almarhum Radin had a lot of disagreement with me when it comes to quantifying scholarships. And I told Radin, there are things which you cannot measure, Radin. There are things which you cannot measure but appreciate it. You learn to appreciate. The problem with all of you is that you are so mechanical in your thinking that you have this lack of appreciation towards the works of arts, towards the works of social sciences, and such. Technology always fails us. There is the third reason why I'm arguing that the public mission of the university, the public good mission of the university has been marginalized is because there is this very clear marginalizations of humanities and social sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a true thing. When it comes to social science research, when it comes to humanity research, nobody cares about it. Nobody really wants to pay attention to it. But I'm telling you that there is no point of achieving the most innovative state of economy while we fail to address the problem of poverty in Kuala Lumpur. When you know that rural poverty is rampant, and Malaysia in 21st century is still witnessing, and I'm telling you that this is based on a true finding by KWSB, DEPL, that 70% of Malaysians are earning 5,000 and below, where 50% of Malaysians are earning 2,000 and below. And nobody look into disparity. Nobody wants to study this disparity. Nobody cares about inequality. People think that a study into inequality is insignificant because it can never translate that into the kind of journals and consultancies that you really want to produce. Nobody look into the issues of social cohesion. The country now is really very divided. The pro-Islam Malay, the moderate Malays, the other extremes of Malaysians. This has actually significantly compromised the unity of the country. Look at the federal state debate between Sabah, Sarawak, and Semenanjung, Malaysia. The state-federal relations is at strain. And I'm very, very worried about the notions of Sarawak first and Sabah first. How do we build a country when everybody thinks that, it is Sarawak that must be given better and, greater attention than any other issues? I've been telling my Sarawak friends and my Sabah friends, you can get your 20% oil royalty, but tell me whether that 20% is sufficient to fund education and healthcare and defense and many other provisions that are provided by the federal government. Is it strategic for you to continue to be in hostile relationship with the federal government? Nobody investigate this. Nobody investigate the renaissance of Islam. And nobody talks about the renaissance of Islam that is surfacing in every sphere of the Malaysians' life. Nobody really investigate issues of rural poverty. We thought that Malaysia with 0.6 digit, 0.6% of poverty rate, we thought that we have eliminated poverty. But ladies and gentlemen, we need to redefine the index of poverty. And nobody really looked into this index of poverty. I'm still listening to some students telling me that, one of the measures of the index of poverty is the number of sarong which was propagated by Uncle Abdul Aziz. And I said, where on earth did you learn all this? And he said, it's in the university. So I asked myself, are we teaching the children the right knowledge and the relevant knowledge? Professor Rogaya Muhammad Zain, a renowned economist, when I had an interaction with her on income distribution, she told me that one of the best measures of poverty is the ownership of astros. If you have astro, you are not anymore poor. That's her assumption, that's her finding. So I told Rogaya, maybe it is true also, if you have an astro, if you have a Wi-Fi, you probably cannot be categorized as poor, but paying 90 ringgit a month is basically not an indication that you have escaped poverty. So if you look at the discipline of social sciences, people are not investigating this anymore. And people are not bringing this to the discourse. And people are not talking about nation building. And there's no research about nation building. There's no research about social cohesion. There's no research about disparity. And there's very little research on inequality. Marginalizations of science, marginalization of human sciences, history, philosophy, etc. is actually a tragedy to the country. When I was in the ministry, there was this proposal from International Islamic University to shut down the faculty, the Department of Philosophy. I told those guys in the university, we shall not interfere with your decision, but I'm telling you that the only philosopher left in the country is a gentleman by the name of Syed Naqib Alatas. If Syed Naqib berpulang, pass away one day, we don't have any more philosopher. Can you imagine Malaysia in the 21st century without a philosopher? Can you believe that the kind of achievement that we've achieved? The 20th most globalized country in the world, the 14th most competitive economy in the world, but we don't even have a philosopher. Who Kim said in an interview with NST, he said that he leads a very sad life, is me, because he has not been able to convince people to be historian. And he's the last historian. Nobody is going to write about Mahathir anymore. Nobody is going to write about Najib and his kleptocracy regime. And nobody is going to write about Mat Sabu and the rest of their kakistocracy regime too, you know. Why? Because we don't have historian anymore. We don't have anthropologists. I'm telling you this, when I first registered for my PhD in counter-terrorism, my area is counter-terrorism, but I've always been passionate about higher education. When I first registered for my PhD in counter-terrorism, my professor, his name is Professor Sir Clay Walker. Okay, I walked into his room, told him, I said, Sir Clive, I'm your new student. And he told me, oh, of course I know you're my new student, welcome. This is the book by Anthony Giddens. This is on religion and kingship. Go back and read this. If you want to understand the minds of the jihadists, if you want to understand radicalization, you want to understand this phenomena of terrorism, you must understand the society. You must do anthropology. You must understand kingship and religion. And I spent a couple of months trying to understand the theoretical framework of, sociology and anthropology. And can you believe that we don't have any more sociologists left? Very, very few sociologists left. Samsul Amri is the last standing sociologist. I told Samsul, the great Samsul, one day will go and nobody will inherit his, will be able to replace Samsul in terms of charisma, in terms of persona with knowledge and etc. Why? Because there's been very little investment. We don't want to finance people who want to do sociology. We don't want to finance people who want to do history. We don't want people to finance people who want to do religious studies, comparative religion. We think that that is non-comparative areas. There is this, the fourth reason why I argue that higher education missions as public good has been marginalized, ladies and gentlemen, is because of the lack of engagement, civic engagement within the university and the society. We thought that engaging the society is through student affairs department organizing whatever it is we call it, UCTC, I don't know. I've left the university for quite a while. I was a teacher at the university, bringing students to live with the orang asli for 3 days, or bringing students to go to Sabah and Sarawak for 3 days, and that's enough. When I look at the list of those people who got appointed to advise the government on the recent National Economic Action Council, there was only one professor in the list of maybe 17, 18 members. And he happens to be a professor of economics. And I'm telling you that economics is not just to be solved by economists. You need people from other disciplines to give a different perspective to the issues. Ladies and gentlemen, why I'm saying this? There was this conversation of myself with a very important politician of Malaysia. I'm not going to mention names. Names are very sensitive now and is recorded. This conversation took place in London a couple of years ago. That particular politician was on his way to Trinidad and Tobago for a CHOGM conference. And I was supposed to help write his speech. Then he asked me 2 questions. In the course of our dinner, he asked me, Abdul, what do you think of these 2 things? Number 1 is the concept of one Malaysia. And number 2 is, what are the things that the government have not done enough? So you can actually guess who's that person. I told him, sir, when you first articulated these notions of one Malaysia, I was very excited. I thought you were going to lay down a foundation that 30 years from now, these positive discrimination policies which is being implemented and which is constitutionally stipulated in our constitution is slowly going to be relaxed. Then we are going to have a more equal, more level playing field among races. But then your communication team decided to promote the idea of One Malaysia purely as a unity slogan. I said, and people are confused, very, very confused. Is this a proper policy of societal restructuring and re-engineering? Or is this purely a unity slogan? And you know what he told me? Then what is the suggestion then? So I told him you should not have used such a connotation. I told him that you should probably use the term My Malaysia, karena air kepunyaan saya, rather than satu Malaysia, semua orang sama. Then he looked at me. He said, why you didn't tell me earlier? I told him, I said, I wish I have connection to you, sir. Nobody remembers us in university. Nobody cares about us. Boston Consulting is those people who are surrounding you all the time. These Boston Consulting guys do not understand the psyche of the Malays. They don't understand the fabric of Malaysian nation. They don't understand. It is those quiet people like Amri, like many other sociologists who have been studying the Malaysian society that understand whether this kind of slogan is relevant. And he looked at me like this and he said, well, what do we do now? I said, you go ahead with that particular slogan, you try to sell it, The other thing that he asked me, and he said, what are the things that I have not done enough? And I told him, I said, international visibility. Malaysia used to be very visible internationally. We used to call the Prime Minister of Australia a recalcitrant. We used to quarrel with George W. Bush. And we used to call him a moron. We used to supply weapons to the Bosnians during the Bosnian War. We used to fight for Antarctica as a global human heritage during the first speech of Mahathir in 1982, 1983 in the United Nations. But we have neglected international visibility after post-Mahathir. So the lesson here is this, that there has been very, very little interaction between the academia and those bureaucrats. There's been very little interaction between the academia and the politicians who make policies, or even who oppose policies. Academia doesn't want to serve UMNO now. Before this, the academia were all surrounding UMNO all the time, Why? Because there is this shift of regime. So I'm telling you that lack of civic engagement is detrimental. Detrimental in our role as propagator of public good. We need to be more visible. We need to write more. Write in a language that people understand. But when you write in a language that people understand, and when you write in a language which is published in newspaper, people say it has got no value. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, education is not just about journal, forget about it. Education is about educating the masses, making them more enlightened, making them more resourceful, making them being able to distinguish between right and wrong, between subjective and objective issues. How do we transform university so that the university continue to be a promoter of public? I've got 4 ideas I would like to share with you. Number 1, we must continue to celebrate creativity. We must continue to celebrate the very best ideas. We must continue to celebrate diversity. You must continue to do this. It's alright for a professor to be challenged by the student, because professor must continue to be learning. It's alright for a student to stand up and to challenge a professor. It's perfectly alright, because this is what you're supposed to do. University like UPM will continue to exist for another 1,000 years, ladies and gentlemen. No universities have been closed down, except some funny public universities, private universities. But universities are there to remain. When Fatima Az-Zahra, a very wealthy woman, a Tunisian woman, decided to set up the first university, the Fas University in Tunis, in Fas. Very wealthy woman who decided to give the endowment to set the university. The university is still in existence until this very day. We are not in the business of closing university, and there's no sober government that is going to reduce the functions of the university, that is going to reduce the role of the university, unless and until they are doing it deliberately because of financial constraints. If you continue to promote diversity, if you continue to promote creativity, if you continue to celebrate the best ideas, irrespective of his background, his religious belief, his social standing, the university will be a very interesting place, will be a very lively place. But more importantly, the university is going to be a very functioning place. I'm very worried when people start segregating. I don't want students from Iran because they're Shia. I don't want students from China because these Chinese are difficult to handle. I don't want students from Pakistan because these Pakistani students talk too much. I don't want students from India because they keep challenging us. Not sure. I don't want students from Yemen and Arab countries because they're never punctual when it comes to appointment. Sorry, my Arab brothers, I'm just joking. But I know how the Arab works. So I'm telling you that you must accept them as what they are. You cannot expect your students to be like you. You cannot expect your students to be as clever as you, as disciplined as you, as regimented as you. No! They come from a different culture, different background, different training, different upbringing. Celebrate these. Do this for the sake of celebrating diversity. I'm actually very worried. A couple of years ago, when I had an interaction with Khalid Nordin, I told Khalid, who was a former Minister of Education, Higher Education, I told Khalid, I said, Khalid, I'm actually very concerned when many key people in universities are treating universities as a place to promote purely a Malay agenda and not a Malaysian agenda. I think it's high time for us to understand that we are here to promote the agenda of all, the agenda of everybody, the agenda of Indian, Malay, Chinese, Kadazan, and Dusun, etc., and not purely a Malay agenda. I don't see that in the diversity in terms of student leadership, for example. I don't see that in the compositions of, the new professors and the new teachers that we take in, for example. I think it's important for us to really have a very structured program to encourage diversity. Number two, the university must take the long view. You must have that long view. You cannot rush things. You cannot do a research 3 months, okay, just you have only 3 months to complete this. Professor Aida knows this. In the ministry, everybody will require us to complete a research in 3 months, or 2 months, or sometimes even, ridiculously 90 days, 30 days, 50 days. What kind of research do you do in a matter of 30 days? Come on. Your work must be seminal and natural. It must be able to connect the interconnectedness, to provide the interconnectedness between your finding with the earlier finding and with the future findings. And that is why social science research is time consuming. I'm working on a book with a friend from UKM. We are introducing a new concept called middle powership. When I talked to the gentleman who's supposed to sponsor this book, and he told us that how long is this book going to take, the project. I told him, I said 2 years. And he looked at me, 2 years? Come on, you must be kidding. Hello? You think that we have nothing else to do except writing that middle power shape for the rest of our life? No. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important for us to have that long view. It is not just about, immediate results. Immediate results is not going to be significant. Number 3. You must defend the university's independence. There is no two-way about it. A Deputy Vice Chancellor of a university was asked whether a UPM degree claimed to be earned by a politician in southern parts of Malaysia is genuine or not. He said that we will issue a statement on Monday. Monday came, no statement. Tuesday came, no statement. Wednesday came, no statement. It has been a week. It has been 10 days. You just do the right thing, ladies and gentlemen. UPM is not in the business of selling degrees. This is a very reputable university. You are the top 200 in the world. You have the best brain. You are one of the most productive universities in Malaysia. One of the best in Southeast Asia. One of the best in Asia. And you must defend your positions by telling the truth. You must promote academic freedom. I was telling a friend, Najib is going to speak in UKM tomorrow. Wow, I wonder how the VC is going to manage this. And I want to see whether the VC is going to tolerate this or not. It has been a while since we last seen such a phenomena happening, Lim Kit Siang coming to University of Malaya and being challenged. The last was about probably 40 years ago when Tun Mahathir and people like Musa Hitam were willing to come to University of Malaya and face the students, including Anwar Ibrahim, I hope that the university culture is going to be, this revival of the true university culture is going to be real. And I really hope that it is going to be real, because this is a reflection of the stature of the university. If the university is afraid of taking a position, if the university is afraid of justifying its position or defending the truth, the university is so very irrelevant. I want to tell you that it is very important for the university to remain steadfast to the protections of civil freedoms when it comes to academic freedom. A friend, Azmi Shahrum, was prosecuted in the court of law just because he passed a comment based on a written law. It was not a hearsay, it was not just an opinion, it was an opinion based on a written law. Now, we cannot tolerate this. And sadly, the university remained quiet. Nobody defended me. This is wrong. This is very, very wrong. This is not justifiable. The last, I want to tell you this, that the university is not about prestige. The university is about contribution. The university is about giving as much as possible. It's not about that decorated, awards and whatever you call it. As I walked into University Putra, Malaysia, I saw so many faces of UPM academics, receiving this award, that award. I think if I'm an academic, I would not really feel very comfortable. People are looking at me every morning as if that I'm monitoring people who comes to work or not come to work. It's very unfortunate. But it's okay. That's the choice of the university. They want to celebrate such an achievement, which I think in many ways it must be celebrated. Some of our scientists are really very clever people, but nobody knows about that. So let's celebrate their achievement, but don't do it excessively. I've been to university when, I came from University of Defense. When people retire from the army and they got appointed as a professor, Professor Madia, they will put after the title of professor, Professor, Brigadier General, Colonel, Dato Haji. I cannot believe that this is happening in university. It's all about prestige, It's all about that form and not that substance. I remember when I went to Cambridge and I was with the minister at that particular time. No, it was in Oxford at that particular time. A vice chancellor of a university in southern part of Johor, southern part of Malaysia, if I mention southern part of Malaysia was making a presentation. It was in the School of Mathematics. There was a collaboration between university and that university and University of Oxford. And I was sitting next to a very prominent professor in Oxford. And then there was this presentation, and on the final slide of the presentation, there was this gentleman on a horse. So he was saying that this is me in the university doing horse riding, and he was elaborating about the horse riding facilities in the university. We all kept quiet. But then finally he showed another slide of a very beautiful new building in the university, and he said, look at our building, there's nothing to be compared with. I mean, what you have here is not comparable to what we have. We have something more new and sophisticated. So the professor seated next to me, kicked my leg and asked me, who is this gentleman? This is Oxford University. 68 Prime Minister of England graduated from this university. No, 28 Prime Minister of England graduated from this university. And he's telling us that the door to our university is just so small that he has got to bend himself to get into the building. So this is about prestige. You're talking about prestige. You're not talking about, you're not obsessed about scholarships. You're not obsessed about giving. I put up my retirement paper quite recently and people were asking me, did you retire to SAR A, to SAR B, to Turus 3, Turus B, or Turus whatever Turus? I said, I retired as a retired man. I said, I retired as a scholar. It doesn't matter if it is a Turus 3 or Turus 2 or Turus 4 or whatever Turus, And people are so obsessed about what are associated with numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, when Uncle Aziz moved the idea of Tabung Haji, nobody believed him. But Uncle Aziz worked together with a group of very young economists, putting up a paper to the government, look at how a brainchild of people in University Malaya had turned Tabung Haji into a respectable institution until it was ruined by that guy, But it's a remarkable contribution. I remember post-1969, the younger generations of Malaysia should remember this. In 1969, we had this racial riot. In 1969, we had these racial conflicts, and many people were, victims of this. There were quite a number of deaths, a significant number of deaths. Immediately after that, a Megaran was set up. The country was under the emergency. The government wanted to address two things. One is eliminating poverty. Number two is restructuring the society. So there was this DEB being introduced. Did you know who drafted the DEB? At that particular time, Tun Razak and no one else. Tun Razak called Abdul Aziz. They are all cousins, they are all related. They are not cronies. These people have their own standing. Tun Razak called Abdul Aziz and told Abdul Aziz, Abdul Aziz, could you assemble a team to actually draft a new direction for the country? At that particular time, there was no notions of Dasar Economy Baru. No, it was the Abdul Aziz team that crafted the notions of Dasar Economy Baru. Everyone else in the team were below 40 except Uncle Abdul Aziz, who was 45 years old. Everyone else were the younger groups in the University of Malaya. Almarhum Mokhzani, Almarhum, many others, some of them have passed away. And look at the success of such a policy. That policy resonates until this very day. That policy has actually produced people like me and people like you and people like so many others like us. And how such a policy has not only been able to address the issue of poverty, but it has also been able to restructure the society. One day I was driving in one of the Felda settlements in Johor, and I told my boy who was sitting next to me, and I told him, I said, Sulfar, this is all the brainchild of a gentleman by the name of Tun Abdul Razak. When he started Felda, he could never imagine that the Malays would leave their kampung and migrated to all these new settlements to earn livelihoods. That was a remarkable land reform initiative proposed by University of Malaya. It was through this consultation, civic consultations with the University of Malaya, that, it was, at that particular time there was only university, There was only one university, which was University of Malaya. UPM was still a college Tanian. UTM was still a college technical, But these are the brainchild of many good people in university. And another classical example of how civic engagement has been able to, how people in university continue to contribute to national well-being was during the economic crisis, the 1997-1998 economic crisis. I remember I was working with the late Dr. Mahani Zainal Abidin. He was a professor of econometrics. ISIS. He was a professor in University of Malaya. He's a development economist. One day, Tun Daim called the Vice Chancellor at that particular time. Can you name me someone from the university who has done development economics? So the Vice Chancellor said, you go and call Mahani Zainal Abidin. At that particular time, we didn't have handphone. Even if we had handphone, it was this big. So I remember Mahani, because I worked with Mahani recruited me to go into National Economic Action Council. The late Mahani, one day was not in the office when Tun Daim called. We don't stay in the office, We don't clock in, clock out right now. So, Mahani was not in the office. Tun Daim left a number. He said, please call me back. So when Mahani went into the general office, and somebody in the general office told Mahani that the guy by the name of Daim called you, not knowing it was Daim Shainuddin. So Mahani took the number, and when she was about to call, there was a call coming in, and it was Daim Shainuddin. And he said, Dr. Mahani, yes, I'm Dr. Mahani. My name is Daim. Which Daim is this? Mahani being very direct. My name is Daim Zainuddin. I'm heading the National Economic Action Council. I want to ask you two questions. What do you think about the state of Malaysian economy now? And number two is that how do you go about in prescribing a solution to this problem? Mahani said, come and see me and I'll give you a lecture on this. So Mahani came to see Daim. It was in Jalan Dato' at that particular time. And I remember very clearly when Daim first met Mahani. Mahani is a very flamboyant, beautiful, charm, very elegant woman, University of Malaya have got these few professors who doesn't cover themselves and look very elegant. So Mahani gave Daim half an hour lecture. Daim said, Mahani, you go and pack your stuff and you report duty tomorrow. So Mahani looked at him, and then he said, oh, okay, one more thing, Mahani. You go and grab your own appointment letter and I will sign it. That's how Mahani brought in quite a number of prominent academics into the National Economic Higher Education, National Economic Council, myself included. I was a very junior guy in UMS. I just joined the university for 3 years and I got seconded to National Economy Action Council. And I remember my Vice Chancellor was looking at me and he said, how on earth did you know all these people? I said, I didn't know them. I just happened to be a friend and a student of Mahani Zalalabidin, you know. And I'm telling you that how every day we spend a lot of time looking with people in the university, crunching numbers, looking at, you know, scenarios, building economic planning, etc. Why? Because at that particular time, and none of us got datukship anyway, after the stimulus packages, none of us got datukship. None of us were writing application papers for datukhips and for promotions. Mahani did not retire as a Professor B. Mahani retired as a Professor C. I remember she left for ICs. And University of Malaya says, no, you did not contribute enough in terms of academic scholarship. Oh my God. How could we say this to Mahani? May Allah SWT bless him upon the soul. Ladies and gentlemen, let me stop here. I have delivered to you at point one is to justify why I say that the mission of the university has been forgotten. The other 4 points I've enlightened you on how I think the university should continue to be doing its public mission by doing the 14th which I'm celebrating. I'll be very happy to welcome questions, and if there are things which you decide to disagree with me, this is university. I'm perfectly alright and I'm going to lose my seat. Thank you very much.
Okay, very informative and very knowledgeable speaker, and it's quite impressive when Dr. Razak said about how our university should do their job and not only focus on the general publication, not only based on the prestigious, to be a prestigious university and so on, but the university should be contribute to the public. So based on the speech just now, I want to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ismi to discuss about the speech, and maybe he can give some idea about how the university should be, beside publish more paper, more journal, but how the university can contribute to the public. So, okay,
okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Congratulations, Brother Dr. Razak. It has been some time, we have, in this kind of intellectual discourse. I'm so happy to see that you are, as expressive, as usual. So as a discussion, I will not take over Dr. Razak's main stage. I will just discuss some of the points. Faculty of Ecologi. Before that, thank you very much for inviting me as a discussor. So you gave me 7 points, to highlight. I have 8 points, okay, so that we can open for discussion. So the first one, Dr. Razak highlighted about this aspect of the university mission. Okay, are we still in, within the track, or we have digressed, to a certain extent? So he talks about the function of a university, the mission of a university. We have moved from being the so-called garden of knowledge into somewhat a corporate organization, talking about this managerialism, KPI, quick wins, deep dive. So all these business terms suddenly come into picture. Audit culture, this audit, that audit. so on and so forth. That is the first one. The second one is about the university culture. I think the students can attest to this. How do you feel? Do you feel the collegiality across the disciplines is still present? I mean, not only between lecturers, but also between students. Do students of engineering or medical faculty feel that they are cleverer than the students of human ecology and education? Or do we really mutually respect and understand one another? Because that does not only stop at students, but also at professors. Okay? Are the social science and humanities the sleeping giant, according to some of the Malaysia Kini reports, or we are not actually? So this is the narrative that we have to discuss. So Dr. Razak mentioned about when you talk about culture. So are we still championing the unity in diversity, or we are slowly moving to unity in uniformity? Everyone must be the same. You have to talk the same, wear the same. What's your hash index? Okay. How many journals have you written? So things, all this. We talk about one size fits all, and quantifying academic achievement. The third idea is about, again, marginalization of social science and humanities. I mentioned about mutual understanding and mutual respect across the disciplines. How do you differentiate between a philosopher and innovator as being a scholar? Okay, we are so frenzied with all this innovation, up to the extent that we sideline the philosopher. That was what mentioned and highlighted and open to discussion. How can we have social science and humanities to complement science, and vice versa? Okay, and of course, this goes back to the leadership that we have at the universities. Do we have university leaders that really appreciate this diversity, or we are caught again with this certain narrative championing by certain people based on his or her narrow-minded view of what the university should be? So the fourth idea is the lack of civic engagement, the relationship between universities to the stakeholders. And he mentioned about, again, one example of Chateau Malaysia, whether you want to remain as a slogan, or you really want to translate it to something that beneficial to the nation. So again, whether this Chateau Malaysia is rhetoric versus reality. So that is, because I think even now in this university, we come up with so many slogans, right?
I love UPM.
I love UPM. Okay, I love UPM.
Is that your slogan?
Yes, we have a song. But yeah, so how we translate all this, or it just end up being a performance, or we really enculture it and make it as our way of life. The fifth big idea would be again celebrating creativity, best ideas. How do we appreciate what is being said rather than who said what? Okay, we assume that once the person is a professor, whatever he says, is a quote unquote the truth. Or can he or she be involved in a critical discussion? Or you are just a student. We have to listen to a professor. Okay, and once you are a professor, you can say anything, you can lead anything, even though you are not very much into that area, but because you are a professor. Okay. And then in terms of civic engagement, he also highlighted the need for a relook at the working relationship between public policymakers, private industry players, university researchers, and consultants. Okay, giving an example of how the significant policy in Malaysia is the brainchild of scholars, and actually is work across discipline. Big idea 5 is, we have big idea 6 now. The concern for an international agenda in university. Again, reinforcing the need for diversity in terms of university leadership, university academician, and what more students. And how do we make sure that this will continue, in the spirit of mutual understanding and mutual respect. So his suggestions, to sort of like remind the university as the antithesis to the forgotten mission of a university, would be for the university to have a long view, in terms of translating the mission, engaging students, colleagues, and other stakeholders. The second one would be discussing again about the university autonomy, in terms of how brave and courageous can you be in terms of expressing your views and your suggestions. And when you talk about university autonomy, how far is the autonomy being distributed? Or is it just given from the ministry and stop at the university management? Can it be trickled down even to the faculty and the department, so that everyone really have this shared autonomy to decide and to champion each respective discipline? The third one would be to challenge not only this faculty but also other faculties to come up with more intellectual discourse, having it into an open discussion like this. I challenge this faculty and my faculty as well. If not same like the Oxford Student Union, we are better than Oxford Student Union. You bring people that, eminent figures that can really provide this wake-up call and constructive discussion, so that we can pass back to whoever our beneficiaries are. And I think the last one would be to have a look at all these preference for university as a prestige, avenue. You have all academicians become like Olympians, biting their medal, to show that they have achieved something. I think it's fair to appreciate achievement, but we have to be a bit more careful not to overdo it, because at the end of the day, university is about scholarship, intellectual discourse, and partners in nation building. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ismi. So I would like to call upon Associate Professor Dr. Nabaya to give opinion about the speech just now.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, our esteemed speaker, my colleague, fellow discussant, esteemed participants, Dr. Deans and students. Welcome. So since Dr. Ismi stood up, I thought that I also have to stand up, so that I'll be at par, with what I want to say. Okay, I feel very honored. Okay, if Dr. Razak comes from background of counter-terrorism, probably bringing a theoretical perspective to analyzing the issue of the knowledge as public good, I come from the field of urban planning, and probably looking at how best to plan. Okay, I think I'm not going to sort of go through the big ideas. I think I'm very, very amazed that finally, we've got a speaker who comes here and tell the participants, that all of us, what have been going on in the minds of the social scientists and humanities academics for a long time. And I think hopefully it's not like what the Malay says, anjing menyalak bukit. I think this what Dr. Razak has mentioned has been something that even I think maybe Prof. Samsu, before he retires, or even till the end of the day, when he put the last dot in his writing, are also speaking about the same things. Okay, it's about the. I think I'll just give a few takeaways from what Dr. Razak has mentioned. One of it, I think very important that I felt that he has talked about is about the issue of what is the purpose of the university. I think that is very, very important. He talks about promoting public good. Okay, although at first I think I had some reservation in terms of using the term knowledge as public goods, because when you use the term goods, that is a connotation of something being commercialized. Because if you tie it with public, it means knowledge is for everyone. Okay, so I think that is very important, and also the core of what he has, the title of his speech, which is the forgotten mission of a university. Yes, of course, countries, we are going into 21st century, we have to transform, university has to transform. We have moved from the notion of university as an ivory tower, where the best brains are at the university, to a university where we should be engaging with the communities and also communities around the universities. I think that's why in planning, we look at the development of a university as a catalyst for economic growth for the area. So that's why you have UUM, developed in a place where a long time ago it was called tempat jin bertendang. Yeah? You would cry as a lecturer if you're sent to UUM, because at that time it was not accessible, but that is the reason why universities are located in all these remote places, because in planning it's supposed to be a catalyst for growth. Universities are engine for growth. Okay, so I think that is very important for us to look into what is the purpose of what's the mission of the university. Okay, and if we lose track of that, I think what will happen will be where we are going into now. Hopefully we can retrace back our steps and realign back the mission, which I put as commodification of education. Okay, Dr. Razak talks about lecturers now, or even like from university management. We have to think about where to get funding. We have to think about commercialization of our products. And when you start to think along that line, that is where social sciences and humanities research falls short. Because our products are all of us. Okay? We can't commercialize you. Although we are probably going into that in terms of how we develop our curriculum, as if we are lining you all out for production. Okay? Yes, we have terms like marketability and employability. Now, whose needs are we addressing? I think that will go back to what is the role of the university. Yes, of course, we want you all to be employed when you have completed your degree. It's not that you get the piece of paper and then that's it. You can sit under the coconut tree and visualize about a better life. Okay, we want you to be out of poverty. Although now I think university students are also under the B40 after they graduated. Yeah, they are the ones below the 5,000 income or 2,500. Okay. So yes, those are issues, national issues that we should be concerned with. Hence, I think we should probably look back into the kind of graduates that we are producing, because I think all of us know that we have the blueprint, the higher education blueprint, and one of the mission is to develop a holistic student, and we translate that into the curriculum, okay? And then we measure your soft skills and learning outcomes. I think students now are very, very familiar with that. And then we give you marks on what's your communication skills, you know. But at the end of the day, does it translate into a holistic human being? Not just student, but holistic human being. Or are we just using that to come up with what I call cookie cutter students? You know, you use the cookie cutter to buat biskut, yeah? Yes, and the students who are, you know, like the cookies, they must be of the same height, must be of the same color when you put them in the oven for them to be marketable, for them to be saleable. So those blackened bits and those short below of the 1 inch size of the cookies will be put aside. Okay, but then we forget that these are human beings. Are those not graduating with first class honors not as good as those who graduates with third class? Yeah, because coming from Faculty of Human Ecology, we know human develop at different rates. You've got late bloomers, you know. You've got people who are 60 who still, you know, think that they are 30 because they have a young heart. Okay, not this heart but that heart. Okay, so a human develop at different phase. Okay, I think another takeaway which I think we should also start to think from what Dr. Razak has mentioned about the issue of the lack of our understanding on the philosophy, history, which I think you would never hear a department of history or philosophy or the traditional fields of studies in social sciences being closed in all the old, the long-standing universities of Europe. Why? Because I think philosophers create thinkers. We have to instill critical thinking and problem solving as one of the soft skills, because we feel that the students are not thinking. Now, your thinking is supposed to be just like breathing, you know. So if you're not thinking, how can we nurture creativity? And not only it translates to us, you know, trying to see the kind of students that we produce. For us, even in the academics, you know, we feel that probably all the requirements, KPIs that we have to fulfill have probably restricted some parts of our creativity or taking the joy out of teaching. And I'm very sure those scholars like Unku Aziz, they excel because of what they their passion for teaching, passion for seeing the well-being of the community. I think he doesn't aspire to have this Professor Diraja, but it was given to him from the work that he has done because of how he sees that his role as an academician, how can he alleviate the community's problems. However, social sciences research or humanities research, I think we only fall into the category, or we only come as a troubleshooter. Yeah, what Samsul Agri said, bomber. Yeah, dah terbakar, we've got all the social problems, then only, social science, what can we do about it? We've got the issues of social disunity, now what do we do about it? But the whole mission and vision of, like you say, Shatu Malaysia, Shatu, was not really clearly thought out. As a planner, when you have a plan, you have your goals, your objectives, you must really plan. Of course, I cannot say that Malaysia, as an urban planner, I'm also very embarrassed about the way we plan our cities. That's why we are still talking about building future cities when we can't even solve the current cities. our well-being living in the urban areas are still not as good. You know, we can see probably the physical infrastructure being better and better than 50 years before, but our well-being is not getting as good as the physical infrastructure. Okay, so I think those are some of the takeaways which Dr. Razak has brought. And so there are also issues like engaging communities, which we now have to force on us, force on the lecturers, force on the students, until sukarela becomes paksa-rela, and we do it because of the KPI, we do it because of the credit. Okay. I think as I also agree with my discussor, we're not going to take over, because I think Dr. Razak, he probably has more to share with us. So I will stop at that, because Dr. Ismi has already outlined all the main ideas that Dr. Razak has given. So I think please ask questions, although maybe as a closing note, how I wish that we have science and non-science students listening to intellectual discourses that talks not about this is not a topic in social science, this is a topic about where we are and where we are going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Associate Professor Dr. Novaya. So I will open the floor for question and answer session. So if you have any question for our speaker or our discussor, please help yourself to ask the question. Yes. Dr. Abidi. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think we have forgotten our mission, our existence in this world. Actually, not the mission of the university, but our mission in this world is to obtain the happiness and goodness from Allah in our life and in the hereafter. And then when we talk about mission of university, actually the most important thing is to produce a genius, an intellectual. Are we really actually producing genius and intellectuals in this university? That is first thing. Second, when we talk about knowledge, there are three types of knowledge in Islam. First, useful knowledge. Second is revealed knowledge. And third, unuseful knowledge. For the time being in our university, we have 326 courses offered to all the students. Are we giving enough to our students? Knowledge, useful knowledge, revealed knowledge. And we have to try to avoid from giving unuseful knowledge. So how do you define useful knowledge, revealed knowledge, unuseful knowledge in this university? Are we talking about social science more than pure science? Are we focusing on science rather than focusing on engineering and other pure sciences? Are we really sincere enough? I think our university should promote all lecturers to become a professor, because a professor should profess in his own fields, not other fields. Are we giving recognition to all the lecturers who work day and night to produce genius and intellectuals in this university? Are we giving enough recognition to our students who are becoming genius and intellectuals? I think we have more audiences today because not of sincerity, but because their lecturers force them to come to this intellectual discourse. Am I right? Am I right? Oh, no one wants to answer. sincere enough, huh? So give promotion to all lecturers. I want to ask another question. Are we producing Nobel laureates? How many professors has been given Nobel laureate recognition in this country? Nobody else. Nobody else. So we have to create our own Nobel laureate. UPM's Nobel laureate. Are we thinking about that, Dr. Ruslan? Nobody think about that. We talk about recognition, we talk about knowledge. But what is the highest level of knowledge? You become an ulama. Ulama. Ulama is a people who profess in the field of knowledge. In most of the fields of knowledge. It's ulama. In Islam, 1,400, more than 1,400 years ago, we have produced many ulamas. But nowadays, we don't talk about ulama. We put them aside. Those people who profess in revealed knowledge. And many ulama also in this faculty, but were not recognized. Give them professors. The title of professor.
Okay,
I haven't finished yet. Mr. Chairman and Dr. Razak, when you talk about mission and vision of the university, UPM, I think ours is quite unique as compared to other universities. Ours is quite unique as compared to other universities. But in terms of implementation, in terms of recognition, in terms of promotion, I think something lacked in the implementation. So my question is, how to realize all those mission and vision objectives of our university? Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Dr. for the question. Maybe one of Dr. Razak want to answer the question.
I want to tell you something. It is never the role of the university or the mission of the university to produce what we call geniuses and intellectuals. The university is meant to actually produce useful people to the society, useful in their own ways, with the knowledge that they gain from the university. Not everyone that goes to universities are very bright people. They are people who develop over time and become, very useful to the society and to the stage. What we want to produce is people with knowledge that will be able to make themselves functioning in university. That is why I never agree with there were many initiatives before producing Nobel laureates. I was in the ministry at a particular time when this idea came into being. I said I don't think we should be in the business of producing Nobel laureates. Nobel laureates never works towards being recognized as Nobel laureates. Their work of scholarship is actually being noticed by many other people, and these people are the ones who nominate them. That is why if you look at the orientations of the university, many has changed. I give you an example of Harvard. I spent 3 months in Harvard. I did not graduate from Harvard. I'm not like some people who went to Harvard and say that, attending 1 week program and say they are graduate of Harvard. No, I did not graduate from Harvard, even though I spent 3 weeks in Harvard, and I spent a couple of weeks in Oxford too. When I was there and I had an interaction with the business school, I went to the Kennedy School, but the school is just next to each other. In Harvard, the KPI of the business school is not publication. They don't care how many journals you write, but how many startups you manage to actually produce among your students. They're looking at how many startups. They're looking at how you contribute your knowledge and your business acumen and business strategy that you apply to actually create a business solution that will be able to transform the life of so many others. This is where the founder of Uber was educated. The founder of Uber is the son of Nissan Tanchomoto, yeah? Robin Tan. And this is also where he was in the same place with Nadiem Mukarram. Nadiem Mukarram is the founder of Gojek. If you go to Indonesia, you have to ride the Gojek. I don't ride the Gojek anyway, it's very risky. But this is the measure that, if you're in business school, how many of your graduates will be able to really utilize their knowledge and produce this kind of remarkable contributions, you see. So I think at the end of the day, we must really go back to the idea of, making university not a place where, they're full of professors. No, you have to earn professorship. You cannot be simply giving people professorship just because they're in university. You have to earn. And earning scholarships and earning professorships is a journey, but it's a labor of love, but without neglecting your true obligations to the university. But I want to conclude by telling you an experience that I had with a former Vice Chancellor of University College. When I was in London, I was trying to persuade the University College to set up a small branch in Malaysia. At a particular time, we were working very hard to get international universities to set up branches in Malaysia. So I was tasked by the minister to go and persuade Warwick University, University College, and this, including London School of Economics. And I remember when I had a chat with the Vice Chancellor, where we call them principal. They don't call themselves Vice Chancellor, they call them principal. You see, orang putih, dia very humble. Professor je, principal je, kita mesti Professor Emeritus. Professor Emeritus itu Profesor bersara. Tidak boleh mengajar di universiti, dia bersara. Di sini, Profesor Emeritus mengajar, diberi kontrak, jadi Vice Chancellor. Pusing. The Vice Chancellor, the Principal of University College told me this. His biggest concern is not about graduate employability. Abdul, I'm not concerned about graduate employability. You know what is my biggest concern? That this university has not produced enough global leaders. That is his biggest concern. And we have got a minister still talking about employability. And these university colleges are already in a different league. They're talking about they are not producing enough global leaders who can actually shape the future of humanity. Meaning that they're concerned when people at graduate of university college are not venturing into NGOs, are not venturing into international organizations and providing leaderships in the World Bank and etc. So if you look at this, it is not so much about being intellectual, but being useful. And I think it's important to be useful. This grand strategy. I wrote about this 2 weeks ago about fake degrees. I visited a military academy in Colorado. It's Air Force Military Academy where the American pilots are trained and the American military generals in the Air Force are trained. The code of honor is very simple. I shall not lie, I shall not cheat, and I shall not steal. And in God I trust. And neither shall we tolerate them. And tidak ada retorik panjang-panjang maka kita mengabdikan diri kita untuk kebaikan itu ini sampai tidak ingat kita apa falsafah universiti itu, because it's so simple that if you want to be a man and a woman of character, and if you want to provide leadership of the American Air Force in the future, that you shall not lie, shall not cheat, shall not steal. Very simple. We have a rhetoric that nobody could actually, interpret, and we quarrel about how to interpret it, So, I want to tell you that it's very important for us to go back and reflect, and believe me, university must have that humility to recorrect itself, to rejuvenate itself, to re-engineer itself. University must have that humility. University must be able to say it when they are at fault, when they are inaccurate, when they are not doing right. University must have that humility to actually confess that they are not doing enough for the country. These are the things, these are values which I'm not seeing. And I want to see more under Pakatan Harapan. Mazli himself is a good friend of mine. We were studying together in England before. I have a lot of huge differences with him, but I believe he is a man of faith and he's a man of integrity. He should really get the university, encourage the university to do this self-reflection. There's this obsession yang keterlaluan, terhadap prestige, and I'm very, very concerned about this. Very, very concerned about this. I've seen professors, I've seen academics who are so depressed, who wants to leave the university. I said, don't be depressed. Life goes on, That's not the end of the world, There are other things in life. But why? Because I think everybody is so commercial centric, so corporate centric, so managerial centric. Any other question?
Okay, I open another question. Okay.
Hi, my name is Melvin. I'm from Human Development and Management course. Okay, sir, my question is, currently, the future of Malaysia, the future of the ministry, future of ministers, and future member of parliament are the current students. And based on my observation, still students are very lack involving in politics and NGOs. So my question is, do you encourage students involved in politics or NGOs? And what are the characteristics need to be concerned before involving in any NGOs or political parties?
When I was given the task to amend university colleges Act, hello, we did the amendment to University Colleges Act earlier than the current government. So they just inherited some of our work and just deleted one or two more sections. But we actually initiated it earlier. We had a 2 years deliberation. It was led by Professor Shah Salim Faruqi. I remember I was arguing with the minister, and I was so very upset with the minister at that particular time because of students' involvement in politics. He was adamant that students should not be involved in politics. He said that this cannot be allowed and this and that. But I'm a Democrat. If I stand for the election next time around, I'm going to be a very modern Democrat. I'm not going to be, an ordinary one. I want to tell you that the law in Malaysia allows a man and a woman, a young man and a young woman at the age of 16 to marry and have sexual intercourse. Not only marry, but even have sexual intercourse at the age of 16, and you cannot decide on what political party you want to join at the age of 21 or 20 or 17. That's insulting. That's not reasonable. I told the minister, I said, look, for heaven's sake, some of us decided to have sex at a very early age, not me. Consensual sexual relationship is okay if you're 16 years old. And you cannot choose a political party at the age of 19, 20 years old. Then you got to go and get the permission of Vice Chancellor. Then the Vice Chancellor says you cannot even bring a loud hailer in university. It's an offense. Then if there is a gathering of 5 people, it's an illegal assembly. Come on. You can't stop students' idealism. This is a place where they learn democracy. This is a place where they should learn to be contested. This is a place where they're challenged and scrutinized. Rafidi Ramli would not be what Rafidi Ramli is now. Nurul Izzah is what Nurul Izzah is now. Khari Jamlin is not what Khari Jamlin is now. If not because of the experience that they had in the university. Can you imagine somebody stood up, a student challenging a prime minister, a very experienced prime minister in Oxford Union, and he was so calm and he was so relaxed, and the prime minister fumbled, and the prime minister did not answer him, And the Prime Minister did not, he was evasive, I mean, it is a manifestation of how leadership is best nurtured in the university. I am for students' politics, but I am against politics of hate, against politics of sectarianism, against politics of narcissism. You should be a very responsible guy. You should not bring your politics of racism, politics of hate, politics of, some of the politicians, they think very, I don't want to describe, sometimes the brain is like the peanuts, So I'm for it, and I think, if you ask me what is the most important quality of a future politician from Malaysia, number one is integrity. There's no two way about it. No two way about it. I mean, I studied so hard and I didn't get into Cambridge. Hello? And somebody says, oh, I graduated from Cambridge University. He lied. He lied. And he didn't have the guts. And no one else had the guts to go and tell him, especially in his ruling party, the ruling party. I'm surprised that the Minister of Education himself kept quiet about this. And you cannot. Integrity is the most important thing. Why we have a kleptocracy is because of integrity, you compromise it because the wife wants more, the cousin wants more, everybody wants more, you can't, number one. Number two, you need the intellectual dynamism. You cannot lead Malaysia if you are not intellectually vibrant. Malaysia has changed. We need better policy. We need better programs. We need better projects. We need better ways to solve Malaysia's problem. But we have people who didn't finish university and claim that they finished university and continue to lie to lead Malaysia. Hello. This is Malaysia 21st century. Did you know that the first channel of Malaysian leaders, they all went to Cambridge, they all went to all the best universities in the world. Did you know that the best, those people who joined the civil service at a particular time, Ghazali, Shafi'i, and etc., they were all trained in the best school, when so many Malaysians are in dire need to reach out to you and tell you, hello, I've been applying 15 times the housing loan for my family. I earn only 3,000 and nobody helps me. If you're a minister who are concerned about me, please help me. There was a story yesterday of a lady who earns about 3,000 and who applied 15 times a loan to own a house. Gentlemen, if you do not have the humility to sit down with these people, don't do public service. Don't do public service. Don't hold public office. Don't. Please don't. Please go and do something else. Be a corporate guy. Go and have your holiday in Maldives. Go and have your holiday elsewhere. Go and wear Gucci and Louis Vuitton or whatever. Yeah, what Bijan, His Bijan story is very juicy. I went to San Francisco. I went to Los Angeles last year in August. I was wearing short, not short, short, just short. It was very, America summer is very hot, Yeah, I went to Beverly Hills and I saw Bijan. And I went to enter Bijan and I was stopped because I was wearing slipper and there's no appointment. Wow, you need to have an appointment. And wow, I said, the appointment is a month in advance. So you can't simply walk into it. This kind of things. Ladies and gentlemen, hidup kita tidak akan diukur dengan perkara seperti ini. Kebaktian kita tidak akan diukur perkara seperti ini. Almarhum Tun Abdul Razak, sorry, I still forgot that I still have international students. The late Tun Abdul Razak, the second Prime Minister of Malaysia, he was very ill. When he wanted to go to England for treatment, he consulted the government, consulted the finance minister at a particular time, and he asked the finance minister whether he could go for treatment abroad. No one knows that he had a leukemia, except very few people. So, and then the finance minister at a particular time said, Tun, you are the deputy and you are the Prime Minister of Malaysia. You deserve the best treatment. Please go. He said, I don't have money. My children are still in school. Najib is still in university. The rest are still in school. You see, a prime minister didn't have money. I stays in the government quarters in Kolam Ayer. He flew to England. When he flew to England, one day, Tunku Razali Hamza visited him and brought him for a walk. Just like, when you stay in hospital for too long, you get very depressed. And Tunku Razali brought him for a walk. And he saw one very nice jacket. And he told Tunku Razali, he said, that jacket is very nice, but my children are still in school, I can't afford. Can you believe a Prime Minister of Malaysia said that he could not afford because the children were still in school and his treatment was all paid by the people, by the Rakyat, using public fund? This is Abdul Razak Hussain. When he passed away, he was wearing that jacket. This story was narrated to me by Zain Azrai, the late private secretary to This is a man of integrity. This is a man who gave himself to the cause of the people. This is a man who has no other love except to see good things being done to the masses and to the classroom. So if you ask me, please, you must have that humility. If you want a glamorous life of driving a Range Rover, go and do something else. There is a gentleman there who put up his hand, yes.
Okay, last question, okay?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I want to make an observation. UPM is an international institution made up of local and international students from Africa, China, India, that is as per those that are not resident here, and other countries of the world. Each of these students come into UPM with their own subcultures from their own various countries. And immediately they arrive here, they are expected to be molded into a subculture of UPM. But the speaker here has come to observe certain structural features within the university. And I cast my mind to look at Malaysia as a country. I started thinking, is this the structure of the Malaysian people? The issue is fundamentally on the question of social interaction among students within the UPM. I see the Malay students flocking alone, moving separately. I see the Chinese flocking and moving separately. I see the Africans. I don't see them interacting. This is very much fundamental in an institution of international repute like the UPM. I think the university should have a subculture that will give an orientation of interaction of all the students of UPM so that they will reflect each other's culture. When these students go back to their country, they will tell the story of Malaysia. And let the story of Malaysia be an excellent story. Thank you very much.
Brother, I appreciate the observation, and I think UPM is really evolving into a very cosmopolitan university. I live very near to UPM actually, and I'm surrounded by UPM students from all around the world. I live in one of the condominium here, and all my neighbors are UPM staff and students. Sometimes, I got very, uncomfortable also, too many of them in the same condominium. But I can tell you that it has actually transformed the university into a very cosmopolitan society. when I walk into UPM today, I saw it. I can feel the cosmopolitanism. You know, I can really feel the cosmopolitanism. You know, and I think I understand that the Malays work together, the Chinese sometimes they group together among themselves. The Indians the same thing. In America it's the same thing too. The American works among themselves, the Russians mix among themselves, and only on certain occasions that we get to know each other, and we work across disciplines and across areas. But that is not actually the norms. The Malaysians are extremely very accommodating and very open, and especially the Malays are very, very open. That is why Islam could come to this part of the world, and Islam came to this part of the world not through battles of war and etc. But Islam came to this part of the world through the work of the da'i, through the work of the traders, through the work of a lot of da'i, and the Muslims and the Malays are very welcoming. We are very shy people. When we see people from Africa, we become very shy. You people speak very eloquent English. Yeah, it's very eloquent. And when you see the Arabs, you think that the Arabs belong to. We always think that the Arabs are filthy rich. The Saudis, they are UAEs, and we think that we're just from Kampong, and that's very much Malaysia. That's very much Malaysia, the Malay attitude. But they're very kind, gentle, very accommodating, and that is why we could live together and build this nation together. The Chinese, the Indian, the Malays, they have been able to coexist over the last 60 years and transform Malaysia from 1969 with a poverty rate of about 80% into a modern Malaysia where poverty in 2017 is only 0.6%. And in some states, poverty is near zero. So this is a very successful story, and it is not a perfect story, it is a very successful story that you can actually narrate, In the process of us transforming ourselves into an international center of learning, it has never been easy. We have to deal with a lot of adjustment in terms of our university culture. We're not used to. We were not set up like UPM or many other public universities were not set up like UIA from the very beginning. It was really very international in our look and approach and etc. So many of our public universities had to do the necessary adjustment, and they're doing very, very well. I'm actually very proud to tell you that I have met many of the academics and the students of UPM presenting remarkable findings in many international conferences, and I'm very, very, and they are from Malaysia and many other parts of the world, and this achievement is remarkable. Looking at the history of UPM, and looking at the history of Malaysia, which is a very young nation. You can't compare us with Harvard, come on. We can't compare us with Oxford. It's in 100 years, 900 years. Durham is 900 years, 800 years, But the achievement that we've achieved is remarkable. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You have one more. I know you have been putting your hand. Can I just give 2 minutes? Can you be very precise, brother? Everybody are hungry.
Yes, very precise. Thank you. My name is Abisa. My question goes like this. Doctor, in the course of your presentation, you made mention of, you have highlighted the importance of university lecturers identifying or recognizing with different cultures of the world, because it tends to help the student in terms of learning. But nowadays, in most of the universities, you find it, the lecturers find it very difficult to recognize some of the people's culture or different diversities of people or their, sorry, in terms of behavior and characters and characteristics of our people. So please, Doctor, what are the ways do you think you can highlight to us or to everybody here that will assist in strengthening this relationship between a student and a lecturer and student that come from different cultures. Thank you very much.
Multiculturalism can only be promoted through openness. If you're not open, if you are not embracing each other, if you are not tolerating each other, if you don't have that openness, it's going to be very difficult, you know. That is why university is a place where you should really promote that openness, that tolerance, that understanding. You must learn to tell yourself that my culture is not superior than anyone else's culture. You must learn to tell others that, look, you know, there are things which I need to learn about other people. There are things that I need to value about other people. There are things that I need to appreciate about other people. You must really have that self-consciousness, you know. You can't expect the university, the dean to actually impose upon you that, okay, these are the things, this is the way it should be prescribed. No. This is an era where you don't prescribe anymore what the university people should do. This is an era for the university people should have the maturity to actually understand and manage the diversity. And managing diversity is always very challenging. You see what happened in Brexit, you see what happened in America, the American first, you see what happened in India, you see what happened in Austria. You know, the rise of what I call illiberalism. People become very illiberal, rightists. People think that it's their culture superior than anyone else's culture. Can you believe America elected people like Trump? I cannot believe that there's so many clever people in America. How could they appoint such an idiot to be a president? He's really an idiot. He declared a state of emergency when there is no state of emergency. And he's being challenged by 16 states in America, you know. So if you don't have that openness, and if you don't have that capability to actually absorb that differences and the diversity, it's going to be very hard. And all of us are learning. To be open is difficult. To be multicultural, to accept multicultural is never easy, you know. I raise up children from different nationalities. I diagnose my children from many parts of the world, you know. And we have a lot of headache at home because we live in a house together and with different kind of culture, with different kind of thinking, with different kind of, sometimes I don't know how to handle, you know, kids nowadays. It's so difficult, you know. But I have always been committed to that openness, and I think one of the reasons why I want to come today, I was invited very last. It was a couple of weeks ago. I usually quite reluctant to speak in university, not because I don't like university, but because sometimes I go very, you know, tired with the kind of regulations and the kind of restrictions and etc. But one of the reasons why I decided to come to the university is because I think I want to be open about, you know, learning from many people in university again. I've left the university for quite a while. I've been in the world of politics for quite a while, and I got tired with politicians lying to me all the time. You know, let's go back to university and let's do something else in university. So thank you very much, and it's really a pleasure to the school, to the dean, to all the deans, to the professors here. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here. It's really an honor to be in a very prestigious university. And I hope I will be able to contribute one way or another in the future of the development of UEM. It's a very promising institution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dr. Razak. So I think the session finished. So I pass on to Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the moderator, Dr. Shamsul Azhari. Let's all give them a big round of applause for the speakers and the Before we end the session, I would like to call upon the Dean, our Dean, Professor Ahmad Reza, to present the token of appreciation first to the moderator. Sorry, to the Dr. Razak first, our invited speaker. To the discussion. The first one is to the Associate Professor Dr. Ismail. Our second discussion, Associate Professor Dr. Nurbayan Ahmad. And to our moderator, Dr. Syamsul Azhar Rizal Al-Badari. Okay, we have come to the end of the seminar. Thank you once again to all the speakers and to especially to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Razak, as well as to the discussant. So to all guests, hope you are gain as much as input as possible from discussion. Thank you very much. Okay, we have refreshment outside. Thank you. So please come and join the